You ever watch someone slice through a line like it's made for them, as if basic manners are optional? It happened on my shift. She smirked, tossed out, "Life is for the quick ones," and thought she'd won. She didn't know I was about to give her a masterclass in speed, karma speed. If you've ever tasted the sweetness of instant justice, like this video and subscribe. Drop a comment with your most satisfying real-life payback. Today's story: one line cutter, one old gentleman, and one perfectly timed mirror held up to arrogance. I was second on call, which is the job version of being a relief pitcher. When the first lane's line swells, I step in, turn a key, and split the flow so nobody boils over. It's not a glamorous title, but it's important. The front end of a store is a tiny society, held together by a single rule: first come, first served. Break that rule and you don't just cut time, you cut trust. Things fray when people feel unseen. I floated at the end of aisle 9, listening to the headset crackle. Second on call to the front. I tucked the stray pen behind my ear, smoothed my apron, and walked to the register that always stuck a little when you turned it on. Key in, click right, LED flicker, and there it was. Next customer, please, blinking like a lighthouse. He saw it first, the next man in the overflow. Silver hair, combed neat, cardigan buttoned all the way because some people never forgot how to present themselves. Basket, not cart. Apples, bread, milk, the holy trinity of grocery basics. When our eyes met, his softened, like he was relieved the world still had order. I gave the little ushering wave. "Sir, over here. This lane is open." He nodded and began that careful choreography of picking items up from the divider to carry them over. It's a slow dance when your back's talking and your knees argue. He moved like dignity itself. Patient, gentle, not trying to be a problem to anyone. And that's when she arrived. She didn't so much walk as slice, high heels ticking a crisp metronome on tile. Tack, tack, tack. Sunglasses up on her head like a crown even though we were indoors. The handbag was leather, big enough to hold 3 lives, slung on her elbow with the practiced tilt of someone used to being looked at. She came from behind him, curved around his shoulder, and planted her basket on my conveyor with a thunk that made a couple of heads lift. I felt the heat in my ears before I felt the thought. "Ma'am," I said, hand already gesturing back to the gentleman, "he's next." She didn't apologize. She didn't look flustered. She looked at me like I'd offered a suggestion she was going to grade. The corner of her mouth tilted into a smirk, and she delivered it like a proverb. Life is for the quick ones. There are words that are rude, and there are words that are heavy. That line dropped like a brick into the quiet in my head. Behind her, the older man gave me a small wave that said, "Don't worry about it." A mercy, a kindness. Maybe a lifetime of choosing peace over pride, but the way she looked at him, no, not at him, through him, bent something in me I didn't know would bend. I turned back to my screen. Professional smile, retail neutral. "Of course," I said, and started scanning. Item, beep, item, beep. It's amazing how a perfectly ordinary sound can feel like a grindstone when you're angry. I wasn't slamming anything, but the belt seemed a little louder when her cereal box met it. The bread sighed when I set it down on the bagging shelf. The apples thudded like soft knocks. She scrolled her phone while I did the work of moving her day forward. Nail check, a quick selfie with the store lights glinting like studio fixtures. She adjusted her hair. She hummed a few notes of a song she liked and probably didn't know the words to. The line behind her shifted. People know when something unfair just happened. They don't always speak, but their bodies tell on them. Arms crossed, weight transferred to one hip, eyebrows raise, then flatten. A woman in gym clothes mouthed to her partner, "She cut." The partner did the slow exhale of someone who's going to talk about this in the car later. I scanned, bagged, kept my face smooth. You learn in retail that emotions can be power if you know when to fold them and when to lay them down. She watched me only when it served her. When the total flashed, She pulled out a banknote that looked like it had never been touched. Not necessary for the amount, but maybe that was the point. The crisp snap sound is a flex if you want it to be. I took it, keyed it in, and started counting her change. Coins in my palm, bills folded between finger and thumb. It's a rhythm my hands knew without me thinking. Oh, hold on. Her purse opened like a closet door to another apartment. I might have exact change. She dug with her whole wrist, fishing through a small sea of receipts, a lipstick, a bottle of something that clinked against her keys. The headset in my ear whispered someone asking for price check on paper towels. The air conditioner cycled, and the bakery fan breathed cinnamon into the lane. If you've never been on my side of a counter, here's a truth. This moment is a special ring of customer service limbo. You have the change, she might have exact, and the world pauses to see whether she'll unearth 3 coins or a meteorite. Every second stretches. The line extends its spine and groans. And then something clicked. Not the register. Me. It wasn't an elaborate plan. Not a speech. Not a showdown. Just clarity. Let her live by her proverb. Meet her at the speed she worships. She held the purse open with one elbow, rummaging like she was panning for gold. The older gentleman didn't even sigh. He just set his basket down and rested his palm on the handle like a stoic leaning on a cane. A boy in the line behind him looked up at his mom. "Why did she go first?" he asked in a stage whisper. Mom pressed her lips and said, "Some people forget their manners," and smoothed his hair. I set the change down. Not in her hand, not offered like a favor. Placed on the counter with enough intention to kiss the laminate. Clack, clink, slide. Coins spun, did a little dance, settled. The bills lay folded neatly on top. When she glanced up, just enough to check whether I was paying proper attention to her search, I smiled. The kind of smile you use on a child who has insisted the sky is green. Gentle, patient, kind, but not confused. "Life is for the quick ones," I said. There's a precise expression people make when their own words circle back and perch on their shoulder. It isn't anger first. It's recognition. Her eyes narrowed, not into a glare, but into focus. Did I hear? Her mouth did the thing mouths do when they're deciding whether to fight, explain, or retreat. For half a second, she looked like she might argue. Then something, maybe the eyes of the line behind her, tapped her on the shoulder. She snapped her purse shut, scooped the change without counting it, and shoved it into that leather cave. The bag of groceries swung, her heels found a new, more forceful tempo, and she clattered away like punctuation. Period. Exclamation point. Period. Automatic doors don't judge. They opened for her just like they open for everyone, no matter what you've just done. She disappeared into light. The older man lifted his hand and gave me a thumbs up. Not triumphant, not petty, just grateful. Seen. I nodded back. "Sorry for the wait," I said when he stepped up and meant it. He set his apples down like they were delicate stars and smiled. "You did just fine," he said. "Sometimes the quick learn slower than the rest of us. We laughed together the way you laugh when the day could have gone worse, but didn't." I scanned his things with the kind of care you save for people who always say please and always mean thank you. He paid in exact change. He knew where his coins were. Of course he did. If this were just a moment, we could end there. But days are not made of moments alone. They're made of what moments do to you. That line stayed with me as I bagged for the next customer and the one who needed help finding a bakery coupon on her phone. Life is for the quick ones. The phrase rolled in my mind like a marble in a bowl, clicking soft against the sides each time I moved. Quick can be beautiful. Quick as the surgeon's hands finding what they must not miss. Quick as the rescue worker cutting through a seatbelt. Quick as you catching a cup that's about to fall and splatter a stranger's shoes. But the quick she meant wasn't that quick. It was shortcut quick. Me first quick. the kind that confuses speed with worth. The headset brought me back. Cleanup in aisle 3, broken jar. A kid with blue fingers asked if he could keep the sticker from the bananas. A woman behind a mountain of paper towels told me her dog had once eaten an entire loaf of bread in the car, plastic and all, and lived to demand more. We survive our days on small chatter and small kindnesses. They stitch time together so it doesn't fray. At lunch, I took my sandwich to the back, where the industrial fan turned the room into a wind tunnel, and someone had left a note on the microwave that said, "Please cover your food. Sauce everywhere is a crime." I sat, unwrapped, and let the morning replay. Not to gloat, to understand why a tiny act felt so right. Because it wasn't about getting even. It was about balance. The world dips when someone takes more than their share. The older man hadn't demanded I fix it. He'd offered peace when pride would have stung. But peace doesn't always mean silence. Sometimes it means a gentle boundary put back in place. I didn't embarrass her in a shout. I simply handed her reflection to her. After lunch, the rush came, as it always does. 3s become 10s. People become lines. You stop feeling individual scanner beeps and hear a chorus. The doors slide, the carts clack, the clock speeds up and slows down in weird places like it's drunk. Somewhere in that storm, I saw her again. Not in my lane. Over at customer service, tapping a manicured fingernail against the counter in time with her impatience. She wasn't looking for me. She was looking for a return on a bottle she'd apparently decided was the wrong size after all. The customer service associate leaned into great measured kindness the way pros do, and the transaction wound its civil way to a receipt. She didn't look my direction. She turned and left, and the store exhaled the way a room does when a perfume cloud goes outside. Toward the end of my shift, I caught the older man again. Or maybe not the same man. Maybe I just wanted it to be. Same cardigan energy, same careful pace. He wasn't buying today. He was leaning on the bench near the exit, watching the world in low gear. Old men have a way of doing that, taking stock with their eyes, generous and a little wistful. As I wheeled a basket back to the corral, he nodded. "Busy day?" he asked. "They always are," I said. "But people still find time to be kind." He chuckled. "And to teach lessons," he said, and let me go. When I clocked out, the sky was moving toward evening. That soft hour when shadows behave and the heat goes to sit on a curb somewhere and take a break. I stepped into the parking lot with the feeling of a job done, not flawlessly, but honestly. And that matters. You might think this is too small a story to tell for 50 minutes. That's the thing. Small stories are where we live. The huge moments, the weddings, the births, the career leaps, those are peaks. But most of life is the path between them. On that path, the smallest decencies, the line respected, the seat offered, the turn taken, are the planks that keep us from the mud. I didn't report her. I didn't wish her a bad day. I didn't even tell the story in the break room to gather applause. I let the act sit where it belonged, a nudge toward balance, a mirror held up just long enough to catch her eye. You want the gritty details? I can give them to you because memory keeps textures. Her basket had the tiniest crack in the plastic handle, hairline, white stress mark. She drummed her fingers in a rhythm that didn't match the song she hummed. When she said the line, her mouth did that upward hook that says you'll either admire me or you'll stay quiet. Either way, I get to go first. She chose her lane not because it was open, but because it felt like victory to be first at anything. I wonder sometimes what happened after she left. Did she tell the story to someone, annoyed? Can you believe that cashier? Did she edit out the part where she cut an old man? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe when she reached for her keys later, her hand brushed the coins at the bottom of her bag and they rattled with a tiny echo of my words. Life is for the quick ones. Maybe she didn't like the taste of it coming back. Echoes can be teachers, too. There's a version of this that goes wrong. where the cashier snaps and the customer explodes, and the line films it on their phones for later outrage. That world is always one choice away. I don't want that world. I want this one, where the boundary is clear and the correction is gentle and the day goes on without a crater. If you're listening and you work retail, you know, the counter is a stage and a shield. You learn to read hands, eyes, shoulders. You learn who's late for something and who's lonely, and who needs you to crack a joke about how melons always weigh more when you're carrying them back to the car. You learn that dignity is a currency like money, and every interaction either deposits or withdraws a little. That day, I made a deposit where it mattered. To the older man, to the line, to myself. The coin landed with a satisfying clink. Later that week, a different woman let the person behind her go first because their baby started fussing, and she said, "Go ahead, I remember what that's like," and waved them through. Balance again. Maybe unrelated, maybe not. Kindness echoes. So does arrogance. The sound you choose to make is up to you. Here's the part of the story I haven't told yet. Why it stung so much. It wasn't just her words. It was the way she rewrote the rule out loud and expected the world to applaud. Where I grew up, lines meant you mattered as much as anyone else, no more and no less. You waited your turn because you belonged to something bigger than your need. The first time I remember learning this, I was 5, in a cafeteria line, plastic tray in my hands, and I tried to cut because I saw chicken nuggets and my stomach made a decision. The lunch lady with the kind eyes tapped the tray and said, "Hey there, little fast feet. There's plenty for everybody if we take turns." She handed me a milk carton while I shifted to the back. I watched the older kid in front of me smile like I was a person and not a problem. That small lesson wrote itself into my bones. So when I say first come, first served, it isn't bureaucracy. It's a promise. If you show up and wait, you will be seen. The woman's motto wasn't about speed. It was about skimming value off the top of other people's patience and calling it ambition. I think that's why the coins on the counter sounded so right. Not loud, just correct. I won't pretend it was heroism. It was petty as daisies, small, bright, and a little wild. But the best petty is principled. You use it like a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. A line was crossed. I put it back where it belonged. No blood, no bruise, just a boundary returned to its post. And the old man? I think about him more than I think about her. The way he waved off the conflict so I wouldn't have to eat the stress. How his thumbs up later said, "I saw you do the right amount of the right thing." There's a quiet power in people like him. They keep the world from rattling itself apart. If you're still here with me, let me leave you with 3 quick truths retail gave me. 1. The quickest thing in a store isn't a shortcut, it's respect. Respect cuts lines of tension faster than anything else. 2. Timing is everything. A kind word, 10 seconds too late is still kind, but a boundary set at the perfect moment can reset a whole room. 3. Mirrors are miracles. When you reflect someone's energy back with just enough clarity, they teach themselves. That's what I did. I held up a mirror with a smile. When she said, "Life is for the quick ones," she meant, I get to go first. When I said it back, I meant, "Then take your change quickly because you're done here." She took it quick. She left quick. And the line moved on, like rivers do after a rock skips the surface and sinks. Maybe life is for the quick ones. Quick to help, quick to yield, quick to see the person in front of you as exactly equal to you. Be quick like that, and the world opens for you without you shoving it. If this story hit that spot in you that loves clean, quiet justice, like the video, subscribe, and drop your own instant karma in the comments. Tell me about the moment a small choice put balance back where it belonged. Until next time, take your turn, keep your kindness ready, and remember, the quickest victories are the ones where everyone keeps their dignity.